All right, folks, here we go. Episode 4, back at it. We're going to continue to tear down the interior. Hope to get the dash out today and start prepping the inside for the roll cage. So here we go.
Welcome to the channel. We are Rats and Racing. My team and I have been racing at 24 Hours of Lemons for over 10 years. We've had our ups and we've had our downs. Way down. Failure is always an option. Enjoy the insanity.
Get on it.
That ain't good.
Pull over. We want to give you our blessings.
Do something.
God bless you. Why don't you take that piece of shit back to the junkyard?
So ironically, after the last episode, I had a few folks reach out to me asking specific questions about running the 24 Hours of Lemons. What does it really cost? We also saw a little debate break out on the 24 Hours of Lemons Facebook page, as well as on Citrus Racer Lounge, about can I really get into the 24 Hours of Lemons for $500? Realistically, I'm going to break it down for you. But first things first, you're going to have some gear. So let's talk tech. Let's talk gear. Is the 24 Hours of Lemons really a race for $500 cars?
Yes.
Are you actually telling me that there are $500 cars out there that I can buy and take racing?
Yes.
So what you're telling me, it's only going to cost $500 to race the 24 Hours of Lemons then, right?
Yes. Well.
Exactly. So let's talk about the initial investment you guys are going to need to make if you want to run the 24 Hours of Lemons. All right, real quick, let's talk about the upfront investment you're going to need in order to run the 24 Hours of Lemons. And I don't care if you're running the 24 Hours of Lemons, WRL, Lucky Dog, Champ Car, Chump Car, NASCAR, whatever. Any sanctioned racing body is going to make it mandatory that you have the proper safety gear. Lemons is no exception. They take safety very seriously. Actually, at every Lemons race, you're actually going to have to get your gear teched. And they will provide a tech sticker on the side of your helmet to let the track officials, judges, and anyone in the paddock know this guy's past tech, his gear is good to go. That being said, I wanted to break down the initial cost associated with just the safety gear that you're going to need to invest in before you even set foot in a car. First things first, you're going to need to invest in a helmet, and not just any helmet. You have to invest in an SA 2015 or SA 2020 helmet. What does that mean? SA stands for Special Application. These are the helmets that are designed and built for auto racing. They're going to have the fire retardant and the SFI certifications built in for that added layer of safety. In order to verify what your helmet is, simply flip it over, pull out the liner, and what you're going to see is an orange Mylar tag that will be stamped SA 2010, SA 2015, or SA 2020. If you see a helmet that says M 2010 or M 2015 or M 2020, those are motorcycle helmets. Those will not pass Lemons Tech. They do not have the additional protection built into them. Do not invest in them. You're going to need to invest in an SA 2015 or an SA 2020 helmet. That being said, your helmets are good for 10 years from their certification date. So if you invest in a 2015 helmet, that helmet's going to be good until 2025. If you invest in an SA 2020 helmet, that helmet's going to be good through the end of 2030. This was my first helmet. This was an HJC. I really like this helmet. Unfortunately, it is a 2010 so it is no longer compliant. Last year, I actually upgraded to this new helmet. This is a Rux helmet. I really like this helmet. I did a ton of research. I'm not sponsored by Rux or anything, but I did a ton of research. I watched a ton of YouTube videos. I've been really happy with this helmet. It's lightweight fiberglass. We run race radios in our rigs. This helmet actually has the comms built in, so you have a microphone and the headphones built in. I just had to buy a little adapter from PCI Radios. It also has a drink tube built into it as well. And it also had the Hans anchors included, which was a huge benefit. And we'll talk about the Hans here in a minute. All right, next up, you're going to have to invest in a racing suit. Again, this is mandatory. These are not the coveralls you get from Home Depot. These are SFI rated racing suits. They're going to look for the tag. You're going to look for SFI at least 3.2 or higher. This was my first racing suit. This was a K1 suit. Again, I was trying to get into the sport as cost effective and as cheaply as possible. I think I spent maybe $250 on this suit back in the day. The downside, this is a single layer suit. Well, what does that mean? I only have one layer of fire protection. Therefore, if you get a single layer suit, you have to invest in the SFI rated undergarments. These are like really heavy, really thick, long underwear that you have to wear under this suit. So if you're racing in the South, or you're racing in really hot climate or that time of the year where the track is stifling, you're gonna sweat your ass off in a single layer suit with this underwear. If you can afford it, if your budget permits, I highly recommend you upgrade to a multi-level suit or multi-layer suit. I recently upgraded to an Alpine Star suit that's a 5-layer suit. I think I found it on a Black Friday sale through saferacer.com, and I really like the suit. I actually when I buy my suits, I buy them one size larger, just one size up from what I measure for, because I want the added room inside the car and I want the flexibility and the mobility when I'm in the car as well. There are a ton of suit manufacturers out there. Highly recommend you search them up on YouTube, look at the reviews. You've got suits from Sparco, from G-Force makes a really good entry-level suit. Sparco's got a new 2-layer suit. OMP, Alpine Stars, you name it. There's a ton of brands out there. Just find one that you like and that you're going to be comfortable in. And if you get the opportunity, try it on before you buy it. Again, you're going to be spending an hour, 2-3 hour stints in the car in that suit. You want to be comfortable. You're also going to have to invest in a set of SFI rated gloves and a set of SFI rated racing shoes. These happen to be Alpine Stars. Found them on saferacer.com on like a Black Friday deal, I think, as well. I think the gloves cost me $100. I think the shoes were about $100. But these are going to be required. They had the SFI stamps. The Lemons Tech folks are going to look for those stamps to make sure that they are compliant. Same thing with the shoes. Again, just like the suit, if you can try on a set of shoes before you buy them, again, you're going to be wearing these all day. You're going to be in a hot car. Make sure they're comfortable. Make sure your feet are going to be okay in these. Along with the shoes, you are going to have to invest in a set of SFI rated socks. Yes, I said SFI rated socks. These are mandatory as well. The tech guys are going to look for the tag on these socks. You have to wear these with your SFI rated shoes. This gives you an added layer of protection in case a fire does break out. You just got that extra layer there. Now, this is kind of the initial investment. This is what you need. One other item that you're going to need is a Hans device. Now, the Hans device is now mandatory in the 24 Hours of Lemons. We used to be able to wear those donut collars that were really uncomfortable. I actually prefer the Hans device. Only downside is these things can be somewhat expensive. I think this is a Hans 3. We paid about $469 for this. If you're a new driver looking to join a team, ask the team captain, hey, do you guys have a Hans device that I could use or that I could borrow? 9 times out of 10, they will. My team, we have 4 to 6 drivers per event. We actually have 2 Hans devices that we share. That way, when a driver's coming out during a driver swap, they've got a Hans device on. As the new driver goes in, that new driver also is able to have a Hans device on. So my team and I, we do share 2 Hans devices. Along with a Hans device, you're also going to need your Hans anchors, as I pointed out earlier. Some of the older helmets don't have the anchors, the Hans anchors that you need. If that's the case, you can actually buy a set of Hans anchors at just about any website. I think you can even get them on Amazon.com. They're about $55. The older helmets may not have a locator point, so you're going to have to measure and actually drill a hole into the helmet in order to mount the anchors. Not a big deal. One thing I loved about this new helmet is it actually was embossed where the anchor was going to go. And then so all I had to do was bolt it together. There was actually already a hole there for me as well. So a lot of the 2020 helmets that are out there, if you can afford it and you make the investment, again, this is an investment. You invest in a helmet, you're not going to have to invest in another one for at least 10 years. If you can afford it, I would upgrade to a 2020 just so you can get the longevity out of that helmet. I actually did a little research online. If I was getting into the sport today, went to saferacer.com, kind of built a cart of everything that I was going to need to get started. I'm going to share it right over here so you guys can see what I'm talking about. I went to saferacer.com. I picked out one of their new Sparco 2-layer suits. It was $399, which I think is a great deal for a multi-layer suit. You've got a GeForce 2020 helmet that I put in the cart. It's $369. Again, SA 2020, my helmet investment's going to last me a while. A set of GeForce gloves are $54. OMP shoes are $99. Set of Sparco socks are $30. And one thing I included in the cart is a balaclava or a head sock, whatever you want to call it. These are not mandatory. I recommend them. I actually wear one. I just want that added layer of protection around my neck and my face in case something happens. You can pick these up for about $39. So this one's Alpine Stars. I put a GeForce balaclava in the cart here. It was also $39. So you add all that up and your initial investment just on safety gear. This is before you sit down in anybody's car to hit the track. The requirement that you're going to need to run the 24 Hours of Lemons, this package is $990. So it's going to cost you about $1,000 just to get started. Now, 24 Hours of Lemons understands that. They actually, on their store, and I highly recommend as an alternative, get on the 24hoursoflemons.com, check out their storefront. They actually put together a couple of drivers' kits, which include everything that we're talking about here. They've got their dirt cheap kit right now that's got a suit, a helmet, shoes, and gloves, and socks for $629. It's a pretty good deal. It's a bundle that they put together for a lot of the newer folks that are trying to get into the sport. The one thing it does not include is it does not include a Hans device. Now, they allow you to add a Hans device to that package. I think it's $385. Great deal for a Hans device. So for, again, right around $1,000, you're going to have everything you need to go racing with Lemons. If you guys have any questions, please check out the 24 Hours of Lemons website. Check out the forums. Don't be afraid to ask questions. There's a lot of reviews out there when it comes to helmets, suits, shoes, gloves, you name it. Also check out Citrus Racer Lounge with any questions, concerns you might have, or feel free to put something in the comments below. Hopefully this was helpful.
And now back to your regularly scheduled program.
Okay, back at it today. We're going to start tackling the interior. I'm going to make an attempt to get this dash out of here so we can make room for the roll cage. Let's start breaking this down. First things first, we've got to get this trim off the top, get the visors out, and then we'll go to the bottom. We'll work our way up and then see how much of this dash we can get out today. Shout out to EH Motorsports on YouTube. They have a great video that I'll put in the link in the description below on how to remove these Miata dashes. There is a process. You do have to remove the steering wheel. Again, we want to get this dash completely out of here so we can make room for the roll cage. We will be reinstalling the dash after the dash bar is put in. One thing we haven't done in any of our other builds, I would like to run a dash in this car and potentially this area as well, and have all of our gauges and whatnot mounted there. I am going to bag a lot of this stuff up today, just so I can keep track of it. right, we got the top trim piece out. Now what we're gonna do is we're gonna start tackling the dash here. We gotta remove these two bolts here. The radio might be tricky, but we'll cross that bridge when we get there. So do yourself a favor, when you start tearing down the interior and the dash, get some cheap Ziploc bags and label your bolts. Trust me, you're gonna forget what bolts go to what. Just take the extra time, bag your bolts. That way when you have to put all this stuff back together, you're not searching for bits or wondering why you have leftover nuts and bolts. Tell you one thing, having no roof on a car makes it a lot easier. There we go, wheels off. Okay, I'm gonna put the steering wheel nut back on right here so we don't lose it. And we'll just have this off as we pull the dash out. There are two bolts in the back of the firewall that I had to get out as well in order to drop this steering column. So all right, making progress. Okay, I think I got the 1,000,001 different connectors under the dash finally removed, so we can start pulling this dash out. We're actually gonna flip it forward. I might need to remove this rear view mirror just to give me a little more clearance. But hopefully we've got it all out, so fingers crossed. We're hung up on something.
Hey, partner, come on, you gotta relax. Don't force it. Gonna blow out your O-ring. Drop a lung.
Build a race car, they said. It'll be fun, they said. I'd like to find the guy who invented all these damn clips. Dig his ass up. Kick him in the nuts. And then bury him again. I see daylight. Getting close. Let's see if we can get this rearview mirror off. There's a little groove behind the mirror, and apparently you're supposed to... Oh shit, that was easy. Okay, works for me. I just want to show you guys how I got this mirror off. There's a little groove in the mirror assembly, and you have to get a screwdriver into this little groove here, and there's a spring clip right here. This is actually a spring clip that actually provides force and holds the mirror onto the mount. So you just push it in there and you give it a little nudge and a pull at the same time, and it pops right off. Cool. So apparently it helps if you watch the dash removal video from EMH Motorsports in its entirety before you start trying to remove the dash. Last bit that I missed is you do have to pull off the bezel, and we're gonna have to remove the gauge cluster here, and there's some clips behind here, some connectors that we have to remove, and then we should be good to go. All right, connectors are out. Here's the gauge cluster. Go ahead and set that aside with the rest of our junk that we've been removing. And let's see if we can finally get this dash out. All right, so I saved you guys the aggravation of me disconnecting all 57 million connectors that were behind this dash, but I think I've got them all out now. Got the gauge cluster out, got all of the radio and HVAC controls out. I think I've got everything disconnected behind the dash, so fingers crossed. We're gonna try to pull this thing out. We're actually gonna lift it and pivot it, it should just, there we go. Looks like I missed the antenna connector here, but I think we're all right. Well, there we go. Antenna unplugged itself, so we're good to go. And this is coming out, and it's, good Lord, it's heavy. Okay, so now you can see what we're working with. Removing the heater core, air condition assembly. We're gonna get all of this out of here so we can start prepping the floor for the roll cage. Yeah, a little bit more work, but making progress. That dash was a little more challenging than I thought, but we made it work. Okay, so I went ahead and stripped down the back of the dash, pulled out the amp for the radio. Here's the wiring harness that was kind of left over. Went ahead and labeled all the connections just so I would know where they go. And I did this because I want to be able to put the steering wheel back in position. And in order to do that, you need the dash bar. So I went ahead and broke this down so I could remove the factory dash bar. As you can see, it folds under the dash there. And that dash is just an overlay. And then here we go. So there's the dash bar, the factory dash bar. Again, I want to be able to put that back in the car so I can put the steering wheel back up. So when we start putting the roll cage in, or if we need to move the car around, we can do so. There's the wiring harness that is basically tucked up behind the dash. It's for the hazard controls, the radio controls, the amp, the OBD2 port, the mirrors, all the adjustments there, that's all plugged in there. And then it's got a giant box that plugs into the rest of the harness right there. So here's the skin of the dash. As you can see, it's pretty naked. It's actually extremely lightweight now compared to when I pulled it out. But we'll be able to put a cluster back in. We'll be able to run gauges here. This is a great mounting point for gauges. We've become a fan of gauges as the more we run lemons to know what's really going on within the car. I carefully removed the airbag. It is right here. It is extremely heavy. I am gonna take the case off and then we'll find a way. Maybe there's someone who needs the airbag. But there's the dash. So let's go ahead and get this factory dash bar back in the car and get everything cleaned up. Well, ladies and gentlemen, that's a wrap for today. A lot of progress made today. We've got the dash completely out, got the AC system out, got the heater core out, got a lot of the wiring harness out. Went ahead and put the dash bar back in, and as you can see, I went ahead and put the steering wheel in as well. I'm amazed at how rusted this dash bar is, but this car did spend a lot of time down in Louisiana, so it doesn't surprise me. Still need to do some cleanup here. Went ahead and bagged up all of the stuff that we took out. I got my box of these nuts and bolts, so we'll hold on to that. Keep that close in case we need them. But other than that, everything's looking good, making progress. Got it prepped now so we can start cleaning up the floor and doing the roll cage. It's coming along nicely. I'll get the windows out next weekend. That's super easy. Just a couple of bolts, pull that out. We'll pull all the glass out of the car. Only glass we're going to be running is the windshield. Yeah, looking good. Really happy with today. Lots of progress. Finally got that dash out. It was a major pain in the ass, but looking good. Well, ladies and gentlemen, until next time.